Okay, I'm going to give you an overview of personal property in an area called bailments. First of all, important to distinguish between real and personal property. Real property, real estate, anything affixed to real estate, a building, fixtures that are affixed to the building in such a way that removing them would damage the building. Those are called fixtures. So real property, anything that the land, anything attached to the land, and anything affixed to the buildings on the land. And again, the term fixtures is important for you to understand because a fixture initially is personal property. Personal property, anything that's movable. And also, personal property can be tangible, like this podium, or intangible. So, for example, accounts receivables, they're intangible, but they're considered personal property. Intellectual property is considered personal property. And why is that important? Because different taxes it can be used as collateral, things like that. So a fixture, again, is personal property, like let's say a light fixture or a whiteboard that prior to installation on the building was personal property. Once it gets affixed, it becomes part of the real property. So you have tangible, intangible types of property. A bailment is the voluntary transfer of personal property. It's the voluntary transfer, not the sale. So you go to a restaurant and they take your hat and coat, that's a bailment. You go to a hotel, you give the keys to the valet or whoever, that's a bailment. That's not the sale, or et cetera. Now, there are some weird things that can happen with a bailment where you may be defrauded. You know, so you go to the hotel and you give your keys to somebody, and the valet decides to sell your car. If it was a voluntary transfer and the buyer is a good faith purchaser for value, I'm not sure how that would arise, but better example is perhaps you take your car into a dealership to get some repairs done. Let's talk about that. And your car is sold. Can you get your car back? You may not be able to. You'll see your book talks about good faith purchaser for value, where when you transfer property in a bailment, you're the bailor, the bailee has rightful possession, even if they may have defrauded you. If you voluntarily transfer the property to them and they sell it to a good faith purchaser, that person will have title to the property. Now, that probably doesn't work with a car, but certainly works for, let's say, jewelry or things like that, because a car has a title. But be aware of that good faith purchaser for value possibility with a bailment. A bailment, a situation, can occur intentionally, unintentionally. A boat washes up on your beach or something. That's a bailment. You find something that's been lost. You have certain duties, believe it or not. So there are duties that the bailee has. The bailee is the one who has receipt of the property. The bailor is the one who's transferring the property. A little bit about a gift. Personal property can be transferred in a number of ways. It can be sold. It can be gifted. A gift is not a contract because there's no consideration. Remember, a gift is not a contract, no consideration, but there has to be the intent to give a gift, a donative intent. It has to be delivered in some fashion, either actual delivery or constructive delivery. Here's the keys to the car. And you have to accept it. Now, some people may not accept gifts because there's tax consequences. You may not want, a collection that your grandparents collected, so you can reject that. But you'll see your book talks about insurance and insurable interests. This does get back to our discussion of sales law, that to have an insurable interest, you have to have some stake in the property, in the person. I can't get fire insurance on my neighbor's property. I have no investment there. Now, if I own the property, certainly. Let's say in an employment situation, someone works for me. Could I get life insurance on that person? The answer, yes, you could. And you'll see there's a discussion I have and these are called dead peasant policies, kind of morbid, but people can get, businesses frequently do get insurance on their workers, and the beneficiary is the business, not the worker or the worker's family.